I know. You ready?
I was born ready. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Clean Comedians Clobbering the Competition while calling their cronies to kill the cat callers in the corner booth. Uncle Gary once took a needle to the kneecap for telling knock-knock jokes in the Northern Nevada Correctional Facility episode of the Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
What's up, dude?
Not much. Uncle Gary's knee and a needle sounds terrible.
It's not great. It's not
How
great.
to get them fluids changed.
Gotta get a cortisol shot, dude. Drew's not here this week.
Right. We sent him off the back page.
Yep. That doesn't exist anymore.
Right. And I think you can still order online. It's called like Tinder or something. Or an escort.
Yeah, true that. Grinder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's for dude.
Might be the same.
I don't think girls are on Grindr.
I think either way. Are you sure?
I don't know. My Grindr stays sticky, though. That I am for sure about.
That's a weed reference. Tom, would you do me a favor and hit him with that intro?
Joining us this week in the Days Grimm studio is Kris Izzi, a.k.a. at Izzy Funny on Instagram. How are you, good sir?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for that wonderful intro.
You're doing good, dude?
I am. I appreciate that intro. It sounds like my wife like introducing me everywhere like this is my husband, comedian Kris Izzi. Thank you so much for him taking time out of his day to be here.
No, but we really do appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here.
Yeah.
It's been 2 years, almost 3.
Yeah,
since you were in the Days Grimm studio last.
It was
August 2021.
Episode 33.
Yeah, lots changed in the room.
I know. You guys, it's still the same shitty beer.
Yeah.
Same
still
shitty beer.
Still Busch Light. I see the
We got a deer now.
I saw that
And Samwise.
with the most participation medals I've ever seen on any deer.
And then we got a squirrel that doesn't have any medals. But we're going to get him a nice tuxedo.
Yeah, we're thinking about ordering him like tuxedo.
Why is there a taxidermy squirrel? Did it just trespass in your lawn? Just shoot it?
We don't need to talk about it. Anyways, man, tell me how you been. He's so flabbergasted.
You want to know how we killed the squirrel?
I was sitting for 30 minutes before this, and I had no idea the squirrel was mean mugging me the entire time.
With his yellow teeth.
Like, I know. Like, I feel like I was on that I just went, the squirrel's starting to freak me out, man. It's mean mugging me.
Yeah, dude. I swear to God. Speaking of being on we'll just leave it there. It's a good time. It's a good time.
Bad. Great.
But anyway, so what's been going on since we last saw you in
God bless you.
Thank you. Since we saw you in 2021, man.
I mean, I was hitting the road pretty hard for comedy for a good while, and then I felt like something was missing in my life, and so me and my wife decided that we wanted to open our family and adopt. And February 1st of this year, we finalized our adoption with my baby girl.
Congrats.
Yeah. Maya,
that's exciting.
Right? Yeah,
Maya. And we didn't even ask, how old is she?
She is 5.
Yeah, she's tiny. She's
she's tall, but she's slender.
Nice, dude.
She's tall. She's tall for her age, like tallest in her class, but she's very thin.
I think
so. It's and she's bony. So I always describe like if she ever like sleeps in our bed and she moves, it's like sleeping with like a Muay Thai fighter, just dropping an elbow just straight into your back.
My lower back hurts? My kidneys are failing today. I got punched 16 times.
I'm just waiting. Every time like I just wake up expecting to just see like Herb from UFC just be like it's over. It's over.
Off the headboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys
no 12 to 6s.
You guys go to bed and she yells out, "It's time!"
And then it just kicks the door open and just jumps in.
That's awesome, man. And then what else? Oh, God,
Yeah, you said your comedy got darker since we saw you last.
It did. A lot of me and Andy, who's been on your guys' podcast before, hit the road together, and I opened for him a lot, and so we performed a lot over the Midwest together, and just it got a little, because for a while, like everybody just associated with me being being a clean comic. And sometimes people almost even like they give you that as kind of like as a snide, like you're a clean comic. And so I really just preferred the term comic, and so I got a little more darker with some of my humor.
Yeah.
So that way that I was a little more rounded.
And
So-
I mean, you got to go up a little
Before
darker
Andy,
before
yeah,
Andy
Andy.
does soften.
Well, yeah, because he was finding out a lot of times when he would get started that people wouldn't want to laugh at his humor because he's making fun of himself being in a wheelchair. And a lot of times people just don't want to laugh, in front of you. They want to keep their snide comments and snickers to the when you're not around.
Yeah.
And so so I started doing some jokes before him, being like, y'all better get on board now if y'all thought that was bad. And so Andy would use me
Warm 'em
like,
up.
yeah, so I was like Andy's canary in the mine, like to see how audiences were gonna be with some of the jokes.
Did you ever have an audience that was just like, nah, we're not talking about kids in wheelchairs?
No, well, yeah, but it was,
and they just
but it
shut
was,
it down.
but it was in the, yeah, but it was the reverse. So I was on a show and I was like the middle act, and Andy was just there hanging out. He did like 5 minutes just to be fun, be part of the show. So he goes up talking. He does this bit where he talks about being in school. Whenever there'd be a fire drill, like his whole class would just leave him there.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like leave
Yeah,
the
he told
cripple.
us that.
And so and everybody's laughing hysterical, and this lady is dying laughing. So I go up and I do this thing where I have a bit where I talk about how people associate clean comedy with boring comedy. But I said, you can still be clean but be dark at the exact same time. And I have a bit where I do that, and I go in incremental jokes. And the last one, and the main one, is this joke where I make fun of kids with scoliosis.
Oh, Christ.
And so I the bit is talking about, like, I recently discovered that there's literally a camp for kids with scoliosis. It's a
Hold
real
on.
thing.
Hold on.
Look it up. Everybody thinks I'm lying, and I tell people to Google it. It's a real camp for kids with scoliosis. And they go to this camp, and they learn and take classes on how to live life with scoliosis and how to overcome their obstacles.
Dude, they're wearing fucking duct tape all over their
Yes.
body.
Just straightening out that spine. They're so proud too. Wow.
That's so much electrical
Yeah.
I'm
tape.
sure a lot of parents get bent out of shape.
Yeah, they get a little crooked. They get a little crooked.
Their kids come back slightly out of line.
Yeah. And the whole time I'm wondering, when they take these classes on scoliosis, I'm like, do they get graded on a curve? And that's the punchline. And it's great. And Andy sometimes is the only guy laughing, and then like just dying, and then everybody starts laughing when they realize it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
But we were at the
dude.
show, and this lady goes, "That's not funny. You're going to hell." And like she was just saying that over and over, and getting
Yeah.
so shitty. And Andy's like dying laughing. I'm like, even though Andy was out there for like 5 minutes, doing way worse stuff than I was.
Yeah, Andy dives deep.
Yeah.
I like that. I love I love your comedy too,
Yeah.
man. But Andy, dude,
You think Andy's gonna make it to heaven?
Well, it depends if there's an
Because there's
elevator.
a stairway.
Yeah.
If there's-
shout out to Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
That song was stolen too. That being said, though, I really love Andy Emle so
I do
much.
too,
If
man.
you
He's
guys
my-
need a good
yeah.
giggle,
It's a big deal.
yeah, big deal.
Big deal.
100% for sure. And he's done a lot of big shows. You guys tour a lot, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And you're doing some moving about now
I
too.
do.
I saw your last post where you put up some new. You got 5 or 6 shows coming up. So
Yeah.
and we'll talk more about
Well,
that.
and your newest post.
Yeah, where I was at the
performing
Red
this-
Skeleton Theater up
Yeah.
in Vincennes.
And that's a huge stage
It is.
for
It's-
a guy that doesn't walk a lot on stage. How was that?
I don't. It was. It's a lot of space. It's kind of like if you get your dog a crate that's too big, he doesn't know what to do. Like the whole time, I'm like, do I shit in the corner, or like
Where do I pee up here?
yeah, like what am I supposed to do?
Yeesh.
It was very big, and there was a whole lot of space. And honestly, it's very humbling. A lot of comics that talk about the different feelings of stages, or some of them may talk about that. Like, at a bar, maybe real grimy, you can see the audience. You do a lot of back and forth with some
Yeah.
people. At a club, it's like pitch black, and the only thing you can see are the lights on you.
Oh yeah.
In a theater, you can see how usually how big it is and how much space it is, and it can be very overwhelming to a lot of people. On top of it being the Red Skeleton Theater, and you're on a stage that's in honor of somebody who's a huge icon in comedy, and it can be very scary when you go out there. But for me, I actually didn't have a problem with that, because that was literally the day that my daughter adoption was finalized, and she came to the show, and my wife and her came. And what I don't tell people about the show is my wife worked with my daughter and refused to pay for tickets because she was married to me. So I had to stop her getting tickets. I'm like, I can guarantee you she didn't pay no tickets at the front door. They're like, I'm not paying to hear his jokes. I know what he's going to say. And they were too scared to stop her. And so then she like sat in the front row with my daughter. And I was one of the early comics. And my daughter and thank you for showing how many people showed up.
That's a beautiful shot. Beautiful shot of the crowd.
Yeah. But my daughter sat in the front row, and all the other comics were commenting. Apparently, after I went on, she just checked out and was just on her tablet with her headphones the whole time. Like, I'm not listening to these. Like these guys are. I saw my dad. I'm jokers. Good. Yeah. It was fun. Yeah. Right as I walked on stage 2, I walked right out. I'm doing super excited. Got real quiet. Now, before I said anything, I just hear, "Hi, Daddy!" Like just right out of the gate. I just got heckled by the world's most adorable heckler.
Heckled by a 5-year-old.
And then this last 2 years since you've been on, I've listened to a handful of different comedians and stuff. So like on these, so some places talk about venues like ceilings being too tall and stuff like that. Like, do you run into that? Like when you go to certain venues, and you're like, oh, this is going to be different.
So the problem with the theater is like it can be so big. If people don't sit together, you might not be able to hear each other laugh. So when you go to a comedy club, that's the reason why they're always so like intimate and everybody's pushed together.
Tight.
Yeah. So like if one person starts laughing, it'll start making somebody else laugh. In a theater, if people are spread out, it can be much harder for the laughter to just get contagious and spread around. So that can be one of the difficulties. So you may be doing well and you have no idea. If you're doing a theater show that might not be sold out or something like that.
That is stressful.
Mm-hmm.
But also that does answer a lot of questions I've had about like crackers and heliums, and been to a lot of them. And dude, like I'm pretty sure I got MRSA at one of them. I mean, people are just fucking on top of you. It's ridiculous, man. But that being said, you've been on the show before. You're a veteran.
Sure.
You're a veteran. Call back to episode 33. So we go into this dark spot. I
like how scoliosis camp and making fun of kids with scoliosis wasn't dark enough. Like we're gonna get a little darker, like
just for a few minutes,
just for a bit.
5 minutes tops, and we'll be in and out. I promise. But this does involve children. Tom, spin it up. The death of Here we go. This week's Death of the Week brought to you by Thedaysgrimm.com. Tom made this website himself. Blame him. Grab a t-shirt off there, dude. There's some decent stuff on there for like $10-20. Help us keep the channel rolling, man. Keep the lights on and Bush Light in the fridge. That being said, moving on. This week's Death of the Week, article written by Veronica Roca, November 16th, 2015. LATimes.com. Here we go. Man killed when struck in the face by homemade rocket at scouting event. A Boy Scout official was killed when he was struck in the face by a homemade rocket Saturday morning during the Boy Scouts of America's annual Rocket Rave event, authorities said. Age 50 of Highland was watching a friend launch a homemade rocket at 12:09 p.m. to the minute at the Giant Rock off highway vehicle area in Johnson Valley when he lost sight of its trajectory, said Sergeant Michael Ladavazzo of the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. The rocket came down and struck his face as he gazed into the sky. Quote, spectators to the incident began to panic and started dialing 911, end quote. Two off-duty sheriff's deputies were in the area and quickly responded to provide aid. A California Highway Patrol helicopter transported to an area hospital where he was taken into surgery and died. Had been active in the Boy Scouts for most of his life. At one point served as chairman for the California Inland Empire Council of the Boy Scouts of America, the Press Enterprise reported. Commercially made and homemade hobby model rockets were launched at the Boy Scouts event. Sheriff's officials said.
Again, a California Highway Patrol helicopter transported to an area hospital where he was taken into surgery and
He
died.
died.
No hope. No hope.
Yeah, they don't want to give you any hope. Like,
Yeah.
they're just reading the rest of this article as somebody might have made it or something like that.
You could have said where he was taken into surgery, period. Later, Mr. would succumb
At
to
least
his
we know
wounds.
homemade rockets can melt faces. Just like the beams. Never forget.
Hashtag 9/11. Here we go. Never forget. I don't know why. Why are you... Okay, so... there's so many things that are wrong with this.
Like, one, not shooting the rocket at like an angle, like, so like in middle school we had to make homemade cardboard rockets, and we didn't launch them with like any propellant. It was just like surgeon whatever wrap that they
Yeah.
and then you launched it across the football field. But like, why not put it at an angle? Like, this makes it sound like, oh, we just launched it straight up. It's like that game where you shoot a bow and arrow in the air or some shit. You know what I like?
Last one to move
Right.
wins. You know what I mean? Like
Fucking dude clearly won.
arrow roulette. He was
Right.
like, I ain't scared of this rocket. Ah!
Looks Trev like, where'd it go? Like, he was posthumously promoted to Tenderface.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for a couple of reasons. That's unfortunate for sure. First and foremost. Secondly, very unfortunate for the children standing around him when they watched a man's face be impaled by a rocket.
When it came down, like nobody else saw it coming down.
You know what's even funnier is like Boy Scouts, they rate you on like the looks of your rockets. And it's like, not only do you get like a medal for like your rocket performing exceptionally well, but like that kid,
Like a side quest achievement.
yeah, but you get one for like cosmetic looks and stuff, So like, I mean, most effective rocket.
Yeah. Do you think he still got the merit badge?
The kid
God
definitely
damn
had
Do
to
you
have.
get an extra merit badge for that?
Golly.
I think that's only in foreign countries, mainly the Middle
yeah.
East.
In every other country, when you make homemade rockets, you're a terrorist. Here, you're a Boy Scout.
God.
I think
So
you're
it's a
referring to the
bond
Boy
activity.
Scouts of Iran.
Man,
They give
yeah.
those badges out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Boy Scouts of North Korea, maybe. I don't know, dude. That's rough. That's rough. How old are you when you're in the Boy Scouts? 12 is like the oldest,
No,
right?
Yeah.
you can do it all the way through high school.
So could you imagine?
There's Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, then Eagle Scouts.
And then what's the youngest you could be in the Boy Scouts?
Isn't that the Boy
The
Scouts?
youngest.
It's
What's
like
the
Tigers.
youngest?
Probably like 6,
Yeah.
5.
Could you imagine being 6 years old and you're just like, yeah, there's Mr. Him and his boy are launching this rocket, and then you just look over and Mr. has got a fucking rocket sticking out of his head. Golly, dude.
One of the
That is
kids.
some fucking Iraqi war fucking PTSD that they are gonna have to fucking sort out at some point in their life. Jesus.
I don't think there's a merit badge
For PTSD.
for therapy.
Yeah, for that. Or so does anybody here first aid certified?
Oh Christ. Jesus. Scouts badges.
They're a rocket badge.
Is
They take
there
it-
a rocket
Probably-
badge? I swear.
next year they write it down. It's like you take it away if you kill
I
somebody.
swear. Don't tell me there's a rocket badge.
Oh, I'm sure there is. There's got to be a
Oh, yeah.
rocket badge.
Going to the moon. It just has Elon's face on it. Dude, that's fucking horrible. I can't believe he caught it to the face. You know what I mean?
No.
How could you not like move? You gotta see it.
Well,
coming.
he probably also got a sharpshooter badge probably at the same time too. Like 'cause he
Right.
pinged it right in the face too. Like that's
Headshot. That's an
That's-
Xbox achievement,
yeah.
right? I think.
Yeah, they gave the kid one of those army helmets and a cigarette and said, "Here you go."
Good luck trying to cope with this the rest of your life.
Came back from the hospital, had a bunch of like job offers from some companies in the Middle East.
From
that's terrible.
The Navy's like pre-recruiting him.
Yeah. It's like we hear you do good work. It's like 6 years old. You've killed someone with a rocket already.
He's going into the Space Force for sure.
Or MacGyver. He's like the next MacGyver.
Pack a bubble gum and a fucking CO2 cartridge. I'll kill that guy a mile away.
Right. Just have him look up at the sun.
Jeez. All right, that's this week's Death of the Week, brought to you by thedaysgrimm.com. Stop in there and get a T-shirt. Help us.
My comedy career probably at some point
tanked.
When they look back at some of these jokes.
Well, that's another thing. So like comedy's exploding now.
Yeah.
Like especially like post-pandemic.
Oh,
I feel
thank
like
God.
the comedy, like comedy's making a swing back. But
Thank
then like
God.
you're also seeing, so like I don't know. So like we had Janice on and we were talking about like workshopping
Last
comedy and stuff like that. Yeah, and we were talking about comedy podcasts and like some of the bigger ones out there and stuff like that. Like, do you watch Kill Tony?
Mm-mm. Oh well, I watched a couple episodes.
Yeah,
They're very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll pose the same question to you that we asked Janice, and you've not seen her episode yet, so you don't know her answer. However, if you were given the opportunity, you're aware of what Kill Tony is and the premise behind it, correct?
Like where you roast you. Right?
No, so they have a council. He's the head of the council. He's there every week because it's his show. Then he has a guest, like a guest could be anybody, like someone famous or another comedian or whoever. And then they sit at the table with him, and then they invite people onto the stage to do 60 seconds of uninterrupted comedy, and it's the floor is theirs. They get 60 seconds to do.
Sure.
And these people are drawn out of a bucket. Like they put their name in when the show starts, and then he draws them out live. So if you were given the opportunity, would you do something like that?
Yeah.
Would you like go to San Antonio? That's where they Austin, sorry. Would you go to Austin and like put your name in the bucket, and if you got drawn, do it? Like
just for doing something like that. Get put on the spot. If you can't be funny in 60 seconds, you can't be funny in 60 minutes.
So the downside to Kill Tony is
if you suck, then you get roasted by the guy that writes all the roast jokes
for everybody that does Comedy Central roasts and any other roast for that matter. But like he just tears people down. Like when they go up there and bomb, he will destroy them.
Sure.
Like emotionally.
You got to have some humor in the show.
Like down atomically, he just destroys them. And then he's like, all right, get off my stage. I mean, it's like you cannot bomb or you're going to be very upset.
So this is the reason why I would not find something like that intimidating. Because like what you'll find with most comedians, most of them are not married. Okay. I've been married for 12 years. So there's nothing that I have not heard from a woman who knows me so intimately. To my very core, to what scares me and keeps me awake at night, the shit that she will tell me. Yeah. Like that he could possibly say that would in any way faze me. Like, do you realize like there's not much that you can really say to me as him that would be any worse than somebody who says your dick tastes bad, get away from me. like when you've been married, okay?
Gotta use that Birchwood breeze.
I'm not saying, like
we need a sponsorship.
Like anybody, like any man that's like anybody that's been married and just has had like just a very confident woman just tear him down, or like your partner tear you down,
right?
Like that I'm gonna hear from somebody else. It's just not there.
You can take it.
But I think Evansville comedy scene is starting to get more amped up. There's a lot more comedy open mics popping up now here in town.
Yeah, I saw a new place just opened up on
Damsels,
Franklin.
I think.
No,
you're talking about the Mexican restaurant?
Yeah,
God
bless you.
Thank
It's Mocha.
What's wrong with this?
No.
You kept saying "God bless you" as I open up, but nothing makes me more terrified. To like,
we normally say
did you
anytime
Cosby this?
Somebody
Like,
opens.
It's like God bless you. Good luck with what you're about to drink.
You're
Like,
gonna get sleepy in about 45 minutes, but that's all we need out of you. Okay, so that being said, no, it's a new spot. I ran by it on my last run yesterday. Actually,
You ran by it.
Ran by it,
Okay.
and it's called something with an M. It's like a new big bar.
Yeah, it's a Mexican restaurant.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's the newest place.
Is
that
it
opened
called
up.
Mocha?
I don't know what it's called.
I don't know, but it looks like it would be like a cool bar spot to like do some stuff. And that's another thing. I wish Franklin would do some more comedy shit. They should. They fucking should. That's where all the people are at.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think they should too. I think a lot of people they don't respect comedy because they don't realize how hard it is.
Yeah, dude.
To perform stand-up comedy. Most people think it's just something easy. You go up and just tell funny stories. There's a whole art to it that
There's
people
math
just don't
there,
behind
And
it.
there's timing, there's spacing, there's Janice mentioned that like some people do like the rule of 3 with jokes.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's just so much that goes into it that I don't think people realize. But then also like I feel like we mentioned it in Janice's episode, like you can't punch down too much. Like you gotta be a bit spread.
I think we talked about
Punch
that.
down. What do you mean?
Like
towards
my,
derogatory, or not derogatory, but towards like oppressed individuals or previously oppressed like groups, or
How is that pressing
you
down?
can't be like derogatory towards like let's say Tom wants to make a 1940s World War II joke. Let's say he does that, and the joke kills. It's written very good,
I should
right?
probably only do one of those jokes and
Like,
not 5 of them.
But it doesn't benefit anybody if he makes that joke because, and especially in times like now where they're going through what they're going
I
through.
think now's the best time to make those jokes.
Like, no, I'm wrapping my mind around the phrase. Like, people lower. Like let me
Just,
ask,
like,
who's
punching down,
lower?
like, lower classes, but
like,
there is no lower
look,
class.
So
God, you can't seconds bleep.
no, I mean,
You can't say that, dude.
We're a minority now.
no. Well, I mean, no, but I mean, who would you say is less than you?
I don't think anybody's less than me.
So
Maybe
then
a
how
homeless
can you,
person.
then
I
how
got
is it
several
possible
bits
to
on
punch
homeless
down?
people.
Then how is it possible to punch down?
Just historically.
Historically,
Historically.
who is less of a person or less of a group than you? Historically,
Well, they're not.
And
That's
see,
what
that's
I'm-
where. That's where
see. So
Yeah.
I know I'm being difficult on
no,
purpose
but I
of that
like that because
concept.
that's the point I make
I'm
too.
just- I
It's
asked
like you
that.
get a history buff like Shane Gillis, who some people say like some of his jokes may
Yeah.
be too controversial.
to right.
But at the same point in time, like he's a history guy, so he's
Right.
gonna write jokes based on like historical stuff that he knows.
Yeah, he fucking hates the French, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For good reason.
I've never I get where people are coming from, where people with that phrase of not punching down.
yeah.
But but I'm like with you guys, like I've never thought that there is anybody that's down or better than somebody
Right,
else.
and if I make a Bud Light joke, I'm making fun of Bud Light.
But
You watch your fucking mouth. You're fucking drinking Bud Light right now.
I prefer the OG Bud, you know, the stuff that still comes in a Clydesdale.
I think that there's I think that what people really mean when they say that is I think that they're saying that you shouldn't be saying a joke out of spite.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I think that there is a way to make a joke. Like, this is a joke that I do, and people like will say that like nobody's accused me of punching down this joke. Like my best friend, literally of like 18 years, recently came out to me as being gender fluid. It's a real thing.
Can you explain what that? I don't
So-
understand what that means.
So they came out and they said that they're gender fluid.
I just
And he
don't know what
goes,
the term
Kris.
is.
They go, sometimes I identify as a man, and sometimes I identify as a woman.
Oh, okay.
And I said, that's fine, but you're still only getting one Christmas present. Like, it doesn't matter. And with a joke like with a joke
that's
like
pretty
that,
good.
like you don't feel like I'm not.
But do you have to buy him 2 presents?
No,
One
I said
for-
one.
Well,
It's-
I know,
no,
but
it's
like,
you get
if
one.
you're feeling like a male today, you get
Look.
this present. But if you're
No, he
feeling
only
like
gets one.
Okay.
Yeah,
But also-
nobody feels like that's a joke out of spite.
Also,
Right.
And-
you should mention fluids. That's fine, brother, but keep your fluids to yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
like that was.
Keep your fluids away from me, or whatever it is. I don't know. You could do something like that. That might be a little more derogatory, but I don't know about the punching down thing. I certainly see how people could get upset about it, but in a time like where we're at, I just feel like there's so many comedians, and I hesitate to even say getting away with it, because I don't feel like that's the right term. I think that like if you're gonna make a joke on the trans community,
It should be a Transformers joke.
or just a trans, individual or whatever, like the guy Chappelle or whatever, be clever, in his joke, it wasn't so clever because he like is the trans stripper or whatever, and it was slightly derogatory. But like, if you can find a way to be derogatory and clever, I feel like you're not. You've put work into it. You're not just like you know what I mean? Like it's like you're working to make something funny.
Well, it's even more simple. I mean, honestly, I see that it's even more simpler than that. A person that says, "Yeah, that's funny," and a person that says, "No, that's not funny." They're both right because the audience is the one that tells you
if it's funny.
If it's funny, like
that's true.
They're the ones that are going to tell you that. That's like when new comics say, "Kris, can I make this joke?" I'm always like, "You go for it."
Sure, you
the
can.
joke that there's.
Do you think that like if it's so like say they make that joke right and only one person in the audience laughs, there's something to that joke if at least one person laughs, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, if you both
Probably.
read Mein Kampf.
I mean, sometimes again, but as you as a comic, you have to be able to recognize, like, is this the right joke for the right audience?
And I feel like your personality should. There was one thing that last week.
God bless you.
Thank you. That Janice and us talked about that I really, really liked about her. So she said that she will like workshop jokes or whatever. And then when she writes a joke out, if she in her head says, can someone else tell this joke?
Yeah.
Then she in her head says, if they can, then it's not my joke. And she immediately scribbles it out and throws it away essentially.
Sure.
But like to your point on like, these like edgier jokes or whatever, like I feel like personality it has to play a little bit into the fold too. Like if you're someone like you that's kind and loving and round around the edges, easy, not physically. I didn't mean it like that.
It sounds like the girl who wouldn't go to prom with me.
No,
somebody like you who's kind, not rough around the edges. Like,
no, you remind me a lot of Warrior Mojo, who was on just a couple weeks ago. Just like somebody who should live in Wisconsin. You're just like overtly nice. You know what I mean? But like
roundabout way of saying, you look white. You look like you should be like on a farm
really
making
white.
cheese, like just a dairy farmer. Like
You're like the whitest guy I know.
I
but
know.
if like he's like giving you vitamin D as you leave. Here, take these.
I'm giving you sunscreen in December. No, but the point is that like you should take into consideration like who am I putting on stage? Like who am I as a person? Who am I putting on stage? And then this derogatory joke's really funny, but all my other shit is like not derogatory.
Yeah.
Like is that who I want associated?
Yeah,
I feel like personality's in there a little bit.
It's called finding your voice. I mean, finding your voice of. I tell anybody that thinks about doing comedy, people have told them that they're funny.
Yeah.
And so it's about like how do you translate the jokes you tell like in private over to get it on stage and come across that way. That's like I think when I was here the first time, and I think I told the story about the very first time I ever went on stage, and I was imitating Chris Rock from Bigger and Blacker by accident. Didn't really realize I was doing that. Like just his mannerisms. And it wasn't me, and that's why nobody's laughing. When I went back the following year and I was just me, just being myself, people were laughing because I was staying true to who I am. So yeah, I think Janice was right. Janice, there are certain other jokes that certain other people can say that other people can't. And
Are there certain jokes that you think about and you write, and then you think that like you have a harder time putting it into a story for a stage where it would be better like on a video?
Yeah. There's different jokes I think that go over in different mediums. I mean, that's like different forms of media create different types of jokes. That's why you see the rise of TikTok influencers, because it's just different. Like I did some TikTok or Instagram.
Oh, your TikToks
jokes.
are crushing, by the way, too. The OnlyFins, I cried.
Yeah. I did.
Cried.
Yeah. And
the darkest. What did you say? You were like,
when your job takes you to the dark
darkest
underbelly
corners
of a city. And it just says OnlyFans. That's here in Evansville too.
Oh, dude!
I look like some pervert that's about to go buy some bestiality pornography
in that
in
song,
there.
dude. That fucking dude, so perfect.
Right before I go in there, yeah.
But your TikTok, I agree. Like mediums, you can be funny in several different ways, especially in today's age. And like you're familiar with Shane Gillis,
yeah. People say I look like him all the time. Like,
really?
Yeah, I had to look out. Yeah.
Ah, dude, he looks way trashier.
Thank you. I
Dude,
appreciate it.
No,
Yeah.
you don't look trashy at all.
Thank you.
I say that because what is it? Gillian Keeves? Did
Mhm.
you watch his Gillian Keeves stuff?
Mhm.
So good, but they're like 20-minute sketches.
You know, honestly, the more you do comedy, the harder it is to watch comedy. Sometimes it can be
You've said that in your first interview, and I
Yeah.
don't know why that is.
because you know how the sausage is made. Sometimes, sometimes it's when you do it for so much, it almost becomes work.
You can basically like if I listen to a rap song or whatever, and like the artist enough, like 9 times out of 10 you can guess the end of their bar.
Yeah.
Like you can guess the word that they're gonna use in their rhyme or whatever. So I feel like as a comedian that watches other comedians, if you watch them enough, you're like, oh, I know he's gonna say this.
We talked a little bit pre-show about Thomas's white noise joke.
Yes.
And then we mentioned where the direction in which the joke was going, where he said, I started sleeping with black noise. And then you were like, you already knew essentially the end of the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that kind of stuff, I imagine that does probably get pretty old. Honestly, like it probably does kind of like burn you out a little bit. Do you find yourself like less punchline comedians, but more storytelling comedians? Do you find yourself attracting or revolving more around those style comedians?
Yeah,
because they're
actually,
less predictive.
As you say that, kind of, yeah. Like I found myself enjoying Dave Chappelle's stories, or
where it's like a long,
Gabriel Iglesias' stories and stuff like that.
Where it's like 3 or 4 jokes and then one banger at the end.
I found myself really enjoying that. Usually, a lot of times too, there's some sort of message that's usually like underpinned. As I get closer to 40, I sort of get more philosophical or deep or whatever.
Yeah.
Also, since I've become a dad or whatever, so
God.
we
got to get into that. But also, I bet you can't stand. Do you know Mark Norman? But you can't stand him, dude. If you look up one Mark Norman joke, it's just like bada bing, bada boom. I'm gay.
Oh no,
you know what I mean?
No, I know. Never mind. No, you
gay.
did that,
That guy.
with that head movement. Yeah,
I'm gay. That's what.
Yeah.
He says. I don't know. Anytime there's any kind of like confrontation,
Yeah.
he's like, I'm gay. Like he just tries like, dude. I bet you can't stand him. But anyway,
whereas like his neck, his head just doesn't move. It just
He's got like
it's just
4
fused to his
fused
spine.
vertebrae.
he actually
Yeah.
went to that scoliosis camp.
I believe that.
That being
And-
said, though,
and failed obviously. Obviously failed out of that camp.
Comedy. That's what he always said.
Yeah.
Comedy. Let me get those salts, brother.
Yeah.
Have you ever done smelling salts? Do you want to try
Do
them?
I- no, I just- no.
They're so bad, dude.
No, I stick to old school stuff like snorting nerds or
What's the pixie sticks?
the pixie sticks.
It lingers on the lid for just a little bit.
I had a buddy in high school who literally, like, when we were in high school, that he read the whole school rules, and it didn't say anything that he couldn't start a business in school. So he just started selling candy to people, and like he like tried to almost got suspended like several times. But he kept saying that I can't. There's nothing in the rules that says I can't do a business and sell.
I used to order pizza to the high school and go pick it up at the front door.
They let you run that?
I would and I would sell pizzas. I would sell bagels. I'd go to the bagel store and buy bagels before.
Oh, I've heard that.
It's
story.
a hustle, yeah.
Yeah, dude, it is. It's a grind, dude. When you're 18, 17, 16.
Yeah, you're trying to make that lunch money.
No, the rest of us are just sucking and
right, $20.
Yeah, for
$20
$20, man, you're bougie, man. I did chocolate milk and a Twix.
We should have had you on a month ago. I had shaved my beard completely off, and it was
So
down.
you just look like a thumb?
No, it was down to just a mustache.
Oh, more like a sex predator.
Yeah,
Or a state cop.
Yeah,
thing.
so
He looked like a modern day teacher.
Yeah.
actually, they were recruiting me right down the road here. Yeah, dude, they were
It's like,
like,
we have an opening for our athletic department. Like,
Right.
they were like,
Says
Angry,
here,
angry assistant coach, football coach.
your prerequisite, you have to be a registered. We'll leave it there. So, anyways, that being said, so you get into the more storytelling stuff.
Yeah.
Now, you think? Yeah. I don't know.
Do you tell your daughter stories at night?
All the time. I do. So we have a routine. So we do a whole routine where we do, like, she has her bath, we tell a story and pray and all that. And so every time that it's my job to do the books, the problem is all these children's books are way too damn long. So I just ad lib. So I could just just skip not having to read a whole paragraph, and I'm just guessing what the story
Right.
is going on. So that way, I could, like, she's entertained by it, but at the same time, I don't have to tell the
And
story
it
for
probably
like
keeps
20
your
minutes.
mind sharp too.
It does. It's like and it doesn't take much to get her laughing. But it just that's what I started. That's what I started doing with the books.
So what made you guys choose to adopt?
I realized that adoption was necessary when all of my home videos as a kid looked like outtakes from Jackass. Like, it was like, this is Kris Izzi, this is Tongue the Toaster.
Oh, and so you didn't want to recreate that, essentially.
Yeah, I could just hear my dad just in the background just being like, we can have another one. Like, so obviously this one's not working out. Like, survival of the fittest.
He's not going to make it.
Obviously, he's not going to make it very much longer
He's
than
one
that.
bathtub away.
You watch the progression of like a kid with the toaster bit, and then like an 18. We never thought we'd be here. And
Like, that's the weird thing too, is like so many of these like boomer parents just shit on people for like recording everything with their phones. Not even realize when we were kids, they were recording us with those
boom
giant
boxes
boom
on their
boxes
shoulders.
on their shoulder.
Yeah, dude. The
you
Run
want
DMC. Fucking.
you want to be like dedicated to this recording a shitty like a bad parenting moment.
to
like,
this
right
week
there.
now, parents are just gonna wear ski goggles and record everything that way.
You had to be dedicated to watch your kid just die in front of you or something like that.
What do you think about now you're a parent and you got a little 5-year-old you have to like, keep alive now. You know what I mean?
Well, she's a girl. They're not as like suicidal as boys are.
No, you're right. They're not as like edgy and like willing to set things on fire.
Right.
But wild shit will happen. But that being said, the one thing that we've seen in the last 20 years, and you can attest to this because we're roughly the same age. I'm 33. You're a few years older than me.
37.
But you, in the last 20 years since like we essentially graduated high school, technology was like there.
Yep.
And we were like, wow, this is really cool. And then technology just fucking dumped the clutch and was doing donuts in the parking lot. And now it's like you can't fucking go 3 minutes without some sort of like social media or some kind of media in general, just like flying across your eyeballs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what do you think about that with children?
To having anxiety when a phone dies.
Are you worried about that with Maya and like as she grows up? Like
a little bit, because I used to work. I don't remember if I mentioned this the last time I was here, but I used to work at a psych hospital, and so I
was it the state hospital?
No, short-term hospital. So this is just average people, generally most of the time, just having a really bad time.
Okay.
You want to talk about fist fights from people, man? For like some of these millennials that will come in, like telling them that you can't have your phone for like maybe 3 days, like full grown men ready to fight.
Oh yeah.
Like about not having their phone, but like 2 days later, they probably feel better than they've ever felt in their entire
It's
life.
an addiction.
Yeah.
The
I'm about to
dopamine.
fist fight somebody after this episode.
We're not
Seriously.
talking about it. We're not talking about it. We're not talking about it. I gotta shut him off.
Do I worry about
do
her
you worry
like with
about that with
technology?
Maya? Like it's only gonna get worse.
Yeah,
too.
a little bit, because we got our tablet very, like a lot of parents did, very quickly. I think for a lot of it is, I think that it as a parent, you can't be afraid to just create a boundary, like for sometimes, and you got to be the bigger person in the situation, and realize that you're not their friend.
Yeah.
And and they're at times they're not supposed to like you. That's fine, whatever. They may be mad. That's fine. Their feelings are valid, whatever. But if we're going on long car rides, if she wants to read her tablet to make it more enjoyable, yeah, sure, cool, whatever.
Well, and I feel like a tablet's like a bittersweet thing. So
100%.
like one, like you said, put restrictions on it. A lot of these tablets now you can do built-in restrictions. So B, he's restricted to only 1 hour of YouTube.
Yeah.
But he learned so much from YouTube. It's like it's such a weird, it'll be like your meteorites are, and then he'll tell you everything about meteorites, and you're like, dude, you're 6 years old, and you're what are you studying astrophysics on YouTube?
It makes you terrified as a parent, going is he just smart or is he kind of autistic? Is he just starting to spout off just random facts to me, to me as something
he turns into Rain Man and just bankrupts a casino.
But also the kids don't have that barrier, so you're seeing millennials go into psych wards and lose their shit over not having their phone for 2 days. Well, you're having 8-year-olds have
melt-
full-on
meltdowns,
meltdowns for
yeah.
not taking their tablet to Walmart and be like, dude, it's a 5-minute drive versus an hour and a half, 3-hour drive.
Yeah.
You know, it's like with kids, they don't understand that
So
barrier.
so here's another thing that I tell too. I mean, this is I guess maybe this is kind of a kid's defense sort of thing. I still think too but it's also like not the kid's responsibility to bond with you.
Right.
It's your job as the parent to try to bond with the kid.
Yeah.
So, so other things that I do that I find myself as a parent very recent, I'm only been a parent 6 months. It's not like I can spell like knowledge for, whatever. But what I'm trying to do at the same time is realizing it's also my job to create like a want for her to want to bond with me or a want to have that time. So like one of the things she loves to do is crafts. And so like I'll buy like a craft thing to be able to do with her to spend that time with her. Like we made like some window decorations. We painted rocks. We made like a little Christmas house thing around like Christmas time and things like that to do other sorts of things like that.
That's great, man. Tom still paints rocks, man. He loves it, dude.
Yeah, we paint rocks. We paint all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's Craft City around my house. I do so much stuff. It's all there.
Yeah, it gets.
But I did want to touch on like when you have a kid, I feel like it keeps you creative. Like, like when I was younger, I used to draw a lot. I used to write stories. I used to play with my stuffed animals and do like little football games or stories or whatever. And then like you lose that as you age and experiences. But then like you hit this point where you have a kid and like you almost have to reconnect with that part of you. Mm-hmm. Like it forces you to be like more creative again.
Find the child inside.
Right. But also like think about all these parents that like put their kid on a YouTube channel and now their kid makes more money than they do.
That's a thing.
Oh yeah.
That's a thing.
Actually, like right now, if you look at some statistics, like I'm just going to be like pessimistic, like 70% of most kids, like kids in middle school, if you ask what they want to be when they grow up, they say YouTuber.
It's wild.
What the?
Yeah, most upstate. That's a real thing.
Okay, now I have to be the voice of reason, and I'm gonna punch the clutch, slam the brake, and we're gonna have a quick conversation. Okay, as a realist and a survivalist, what does being a YouTuber do for human civilization in the 21st century?
Creates culture.
Correct. But let's say, what does it... Culture, yes. Okay, I'll give you that. But what does it tangibly do?
Creates culture. I mean, Mr. Beast on YouTube makes millions and millions of dollars. Like, what does he tangibly do?
Dude, which was so funny on Kill Tony. He came to the stadium thing and gave away $10,000, and there was a dude performing that was like living out of his car, and then there was a dude from Indiana that broke his dick. And the crowd decided to give the $10,000 to the guy that broke his dick.
Did
he fix his dick?
His dick was already like wrapped at the time, like was already post-op fixed. But Mr. Beast is like, this guy's living in his car, and you guys are gonna give this guy $10,000.
No, what I mean by that is like, okay, so I was raised very middle, lower class, and it was like the guys that I grew up around, like my dad's friends and stuff, they were all like manual labor guys, building stuff, making things, working in factories, so on and so forth. They like progressed the economy. Now I could see the argument that a YouTuber could somehow progress the economy, but I just get bummed the fuck out when I think about, like, you're right, 60-70% of kids now want to be a YouTuber. They do. And it's a bummer because, like, nobody wants to, like, learn to do something.
Yeah, but if you learn to create an effective YouTube channel, you've learned to create an effective business.
That's true.
On multiple different ways. I mean, one, you've got to learn how to record. You've got to learn how to edit. You've got to learn how to piece it together and package it appropriately. You've got to learn how to push it. You've got to learn. So, like, I mean, there's that aspect to it, I think.
Different facets to the channel.
But, like, I mean, in the future, I think you're going to see more coding. You're going to see more, I think you're going to see a background aspect of social medias to where, like, every time you scroll, there's a background task performed on another server. The same way that Google piggybacks your processing when you're on their website. Right now, with Google pulled up, anybody on Google is going to actually use your processor on your computer. Like
for me, when I see, like, I kind of see, like, what does it feel like? Yeah, there's a lot.
Tangibly,
There's a
yeah.
lot of kids that don't want to go like into trade work or to do some of these other types
Yeah.
of jobs. But what I always say is like people like that are ones that they create, like they create society. But people like that create culture are the ones that make it worth tolerable to live. Like
That's
like
true.
it gives you a reason for somebody to go out and want to
Spend
build
money
and,
on something.
and build an infrastructure and to have these sorts of
No, I
jobs.
see
Or
that.
on Mondays, I look forward to watching this person. It makes my whole Monday.
Like,
you know?
like if Rome was just built, and I'll sum up what I think you're saying into a quick sentence. Is it like if Rome was built, but the Colosseum was never built?
Mhm.
There's no source of entertainment, and it wasn't just the Colosseum fights. Just so you guys know,
Or
they,
you
they
even
would do
the-
multiple
all the
arts.
artwork. I feel like
Yeah.
the
or the
arts,
art or
yeah.
whatever. But yeah, it like gives people a reason to like keep living, essentially, like to find things they enjoy.
Yeah.
I can see that. Like it is technically an art form, but 60 to 70% of y'all ain't gonna make it, kiddos.
No.
So y'all
No,
better
it's
figure out how a hammer works real quick.
'Cause again, it's because again, it's like in comedy, you only see the if I go up and I do 10 minutes, you only see the 10 minutes. You don't see the
Days, months,
that
hours.
went into making that 10 minutes funny.
Not even like
so-
that 1-2 minute bit. You know what I mean? The
Right.
months that went into that.
To crafting it. And so,
What speaking of, and that's a really good transition actually. What goes into crafting a bit? So like I think pre-show I asked you like, hey, have you seen anything that you thought was funny, like escalators
Yeah.
or whatever? Or thank God you didn't say airplane because we talked about that with Janice, and I'm fucking tired of the airplane jokes.
no.
Cut it the fuck out, everybody. But like, what goes into crafting a bit?
So this is what it is. So I would say for most people, usually
No, for you.
sorry, for comics or for me. So I'm going through my day to day.
Mm-hmm.
And then something has just popped up that I just find just odd. I just have this weird thought in my head that I say out loud, and then my wife hits me in the arm for saying it. Like,
You're like, that's a banger. I need to write that
I
down.
didn't write that down.
dude.
Like we were sitting, like in for me. So like, here's a bit like, and then from there, like I realized this might be the premise for something. Like it was around Christmas time, and we were sitting. And we were at church, and she's Protestant, I'm Catholic, so I'm listening to this sermon from the guy, and he's talking about the Bible, like the nativity story with Jesus, and everything's going into that. And I lean over her, and I go, "At what point do you think the innkeeper realized he fucked up?"
Right.
and she hit me so hard.
30 years later at a wedding.
Yeah, like like that he realized that he probably made a mistake, and she just hit me so hard, and just so from that I just start thinking of just these weird things that make no that just or another one was like, do you think Jesus was picked first or last for a sports team as a kid? Like, does it seem like the kind of kid that would be really good at sports, or the one you wouldn't want to have at all?
Dude, J Dog had a 6-pack. He's going first for sure. I think so.
Like if they're playing like some sort of rough ball game or whatever, like it's like, no, we need to be polite, nice to each other and not do that. Like, oh God, Jesus is doing it again. Like telling us, like, is that or would it be like just some sort of just savant where he just kicks the ball and just immediately just flies over and just lands a goal? Yeah, being like, can't use superpowers, like or something like that. Like it's weird stuff like that. That just your relatives, your friends just hit you for bringing up in the middle of nowhere.
What does the crafting process look like? So you see that weird thing, and now what happens?
So there was
you
a
write it down immediately.
Right. So yes. So I pull my phone out in the middle of church. And then
I swipe out of the Bible app.
Can you put this on pause real quick? I got something I gotta write this.
Hold on, Father.
Yeah.
1 second, please.
Like, oh, this is gonna be good. And I write it down. And so some other things. So then there was a really good piece of advice that I got when I took this comedy writing class in the middle of COVID. And it was a really good comedian named Robert Lee from Indianapolis, and he said, always think of a concept from start to finish. Like what does a concept look like from start to finish, and then that can kind of tell you maybe where you could find jokes.
Mm-hmm.
So like the innkeeper realizing where did he realize he effed up?
Yeah.
Like what would have happened before that? Like Mary and Joseph had to walk there. And I can't imagine any married man that would want to take that long of a ride with his pregnant wife. Probably,
dude. No,
you know,
dude.
I'm good. Like, all you get was a donkey. You couldn't even get me a camel or something like that.
A chariot.
Like, I should have made Chad. He actually like lived in that town. I would have had to go on this whole, where am I? Where she goes, I'm having cravings. Go get me some dates. And then in the middle of they're in the middle of the desert or something like that.
Can I get a magical rug?
Like what? Yeah. What would that be like? So what would the trip down there like?
Yeah.
Or like then maybe like who else is showing up after that? Like, well,
Have you
maybe
ever had dates?
dates personally.
Yeah.
Yes,
I've
they're
had 'em.
delicious.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
I can understand why she would make him go get that in the middle of the night in the desert.
100%.
And the Quran, it talks about how she's under a tree and
Yeah.
the dates fall from the tree and they weren't technically like in season.
Pretty cool.
Interesting.
Tell you where dates aren't falling from.
Yeah.
Tinder. Hey,
Boom.
joking.
And then,
just kidding.
and then like, so if you're sitting though, maybe thinking like, well, okay, well they sent them to the manger. Well, here, who else has to keep showing up? Like, is it like when all the animals start like showing up?
Or did
like,
Joseph have to make the manger himself?
himself. He had to build it like from IKEA or something like that out there. With the three kings showing up, which was weird that like they brought him all these gifts, but they couldn't get him an upgrade to a hotel somewhere, which is kind of weird. But anyway, and then like, you just keep going. Like, what would happen with what happens when the innkeeper gets to heaven?
And you're like writing all these
and
different
yeah.
God's like,
options
hey,
down.
I built a special barn
Yeah,
for you.
for you. Yeah, there's no room in here, but we got this manger over here for you.
Yeah.
I
I strung up some 2x4s
Jesus
out in the
is
yard.
like, can I send one? Can I just send him over there? Like, but you were mean to my mom, so
Yeah.
like, sucks to be you.
But
We're just gonna omit this from, and just it's stuff like that.
so how do you lock it in before you take it on stage? You just have like, how do you, I guess, like parcel out? Like we basically
Right, you
went
tested at the water cooler.
we went from the conceptual birthing in church to
expanding on the point and finding more
your different branches and stuff of like all the come-alongs that you could have. But how do you finalize it and
so
parcel things out, and then where do you trial it at?
what I used to do when I started was I would literally write it out word for word what I wanted to say,
Yeah.
and then I would bold the punchline.
Okay.
And that would let me see how far I'm going between each punchline. Let me know where do I need to add something.
Is there like every 3 lines you want to have a little punch? Or?
So yeah, you want to. Well, I mean, in comedy, that's what you want. It's a laugh per minute. You want to get real technical. That's what it's called. It's laughs per minute. Trying to increase that, and then I didn't want to do that because what happens when you do that is you get freaked out if you go off road or you start reading it like a script, and it becomes super robotic. And so I stopped doing that, and then I just did bullet points. And so what I'll do is you have to think about how you're going to start it. So what's the premise? Like, what's the premise?
Here's where I was.
Homeless people in shopping carts.
Exactly.
I was at a scoliosis camp.
And, I was at a scoliosis camp and got kicked out of Bible study. For asking the wrong questions. Like I'm not. For me. Yeah.
He's asking too many questions. Get him out of here.
I think for mine was like I was kicked out of a Bible study because I asked you're supposed to ask questions, but I asked the wrong kind of questions.
Right.
Then at that point it premises like what are inappropriate questions to ask, like that you would think to ask like at a camp or at a Bible study. And then
Something
that may
about
be,
Sodomy and Sodom and Gomorrah.
And then I take that, I know how I'm gonna start it, and then from that point I start writing out for what I'm gonna say. And then I'm gonna take it to an open mic, and then I'm gonna write it, and I'm gonna see how it goes.
Okay, so you're trialing these out at like Jennings Street or up in Vincent's.
What most people try to do is they'll try to tell it to one person, and the problem with doing that is you're not going to look the same in front of one person as you will in front of 30.
Do you have like a group message with a handful of comedians where you like type in little bit ideas or just like simple
most
things?
comedians have a group where they're with a group of other people that are generally just telling dick jokes that are never going to get told on stage.
Nice.
That's where and I'll run stuff by Andy or I'll run stuff by some other comedians. I'm like, what do you guys think? Or what will be what are some things I'm not thinking about?
Right.
And so some comedians, there'll be some tags and stuff. And that happens at the mics too. The only way really thing you can do with a bit is you have to practice it to see what it does.
What's the hardest part about writing something completely new that you've never done before?
The
Like maybe it's a concept you've never done before, a premise you've never done before.
hardest part is probably knowing how to end.
Really?
Because it's genuinely I would say the hardest part about it is knowing how to end it as best as possible. Because with any bit, you're generally opening it up with the second best joke, and you always close with the best.
Yeah.
Like within that sort of frame. And so I would say truly knowing how to end it, because you'll see some people that'll be like, "Oh, that's all I got for that," and then they'll just like keep moving or something like that.
Yeah.
Like having a real strong ending that
Well, and it's
this
got
is
to
how
be
it's
fluid.
good. Yeah, and so
Yeah, keep your fluids off me.
that's right.
So as Brian and I know nothing about adoption or the adoption process.
Glad you
wanna,
brought that
like break that down
Yeah.
for us on like.
So Maya was in Kentucky.
No,
Correct.
she was intended. Don't you put that on my
Okay,
daughter.
good.
Don't you put that curse.
Her-
Don't you put that hex on me.
She is starting with 3 IQ points more
You know.
than if she started in Kentucky. No, I'm joking.
So no.
No, but she was down in Tennessee. You get the
Yeah.
phone call, and then what is this process even like? Because apparently it
So-
involves like a Manchurian
Yeah,
candidate.
you get a
or
manila
something.
folder with a breakdown.
Yeah, so they
Red pill, blue pill.
So what they did was they told us a little bit about her for what they know. But again, it's coming from the adoption agency. And this is nothing against them. They really don't know a whole lot about
Yeah,
them.
you see that you see that lady that was adopted that like has dwarfism, and then like they thought that she was like younger, and then like the family actually was like, no, she's got to be older.
Yeah.
That whole case scenario. So like you only know what like the agency of her country told.
So they told us a little bit about her story, that she was adopted from India at the age of 3. She lived in an orphanage there for the first 3 years of her life. They told us initially they thought that she was delayed. And so
what does that mean?
like she was delayed, like she might not answer questions to you,
Okay.
like she may not like.
You're gonna have
so-
to explain these terms to me because I know nothing about children.
And so they thought that's what they thought about her. And
Okay.
really what we found later though was she's just not wanting to talk to a stranger. So she's shy and she's not wanting to answer you.
Yeah.
She's super smart. Oh man, she's clever. And so they told us a little bit of her story, that she was this family, but they didn't tell us a whole lot about the reasons of why the family wanted to put her back up for adoption. And so we didn't have a whole lot to make a decision on if we wanted to meet her. It was
like a short period.
yeah,
Like you got to come.
and I had one video. Yeah, we had a week to decide.
That's
After
such
meeting
a
her?
big decision.
No, before we met her.
Before meeting her.
Yeah, we're like, are we going to do this? And so like we had one photo, that was all we had to go on with a little bit of information. Pretty much what I just told you was really all we knew. And yeah, that's kind of what we had to make this decision on.
Let me just interject before we get to the finale. Like, what if she like, okay, so another family like had her for a little bit, like at their home?
18 months.
Okay. This is terrible to even imagine, but I just want to throw out a completely hypothetical situation that does not pertain to Maya whatsoever. Let's say she like killed the family cat or something. You wouldn't even know, right?
Nope.
Or you know what I mean? Like if she
Yeah.
was just like a little like machine gun killer.
Well, like my thing too is like, was there like a culture barrier? Because I know like 5 you're still
Well, this is the first thing
malleable.
the first thing that I'll respond to that is, well, if you're going to have a kid naturally, you wouldn't know if they're going to kill your cat.
No, that's true. That's a valid argument.
You don't
as
know.
Well. Yeah.
That's the argument that I see all the time. Like, what if they maybe hit? You don't know if your kid's going to come out being the worst human being it's going to be.
not a popular name anymore.
No, it's not.
You know,
or a
you know.
mustache for that fact.
So you don't really know that. So you don't really know. I mean, you're rolling
Rolling the dice for sure.
The same amount of dice you would if you're gonna have a kid naturally.
So you take the week, and you've got this photo or the video or whatever to operate off of with you and your wife.
Yep.
What makes you pull the trigger? Like what happens in that week? I mean,
I prayed a lot on it.
Was it right away or was it at day 7?
For me, it was. Yeah, for me, I knew.
Yeah.
For me, I knew instantly. That's what I wanted to do. I prayed, and I was praying on it a lot.
And then your wife, how did she feel about it?
Well, for me, like, so she was thinking about it for a good while too. But everybody has like a different like just moment that they just sort of that they bond with their kid. I mean, even naturally, like moms bond naturally with their kid a lot faster than dads do.
Yeah,
You know, it's like, it's like dads bond with them the first time that they hold them. Like there's something else that it takes. For me, I knew instantly that it was just what I wanted to do.
I heard a fun fact about that the other day, that 60 or 70% of elderly women, when asked who their best friend is, they will say some other name or whatever. But when a 6-year older male is asked that question, it's like 90% of them say that their best friend is their wife.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that strange to think about? Because like you just said, like the mom and the daughter, like, or the mom and the son or whatever, the mother and child bond almost instantaneously, building this immediate like best friendship. But it's weird that you just brought that up, and I heard this like 2 days ago. But yeah, I could see how like that friendship would take longer.
So
to bond.
you guys go down and get to meet her?
Yeah, we did. So we went down on a Saturday.
And this is after you've made the decision.
But you don't get to take her back home with you.
We did that day.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
Hell yeah.
So it was that day that we brought her. So it was a really, and again, this is nothing really against like the agency or like it's awkward for an adoptive family. You know, well, I mean, really for everybody, but for like us, like, you know, like they don't know who we are.
When they don't give you like a rundown of what she's into or anything
who we are,
like that.
you know, yeah. So we go down there, the social worker, they came, we had lunch for about, I think it was a couple hours. And then, we brought Maya back with us. And
what was that experience like? Like you guys pull up to the house for the first time?
For the house. Your heart's, for me, my heart was racing. I mean, I think in the end it was very similar to like what a lot of other parents did. Is you worry and you hope that it's a hope that she's gonna like us.
Do you remember the first time she called you dad? Like, it wasn't right away.
Oh no. So if you want a funny story, so she's Indian. She's from India. So I am going through Walmart the day before buying a bunch of stuff for her. And I bought her, and I'm trying to be a good dad, I bought her the People of the World crayons, that have the different skin tones.
Yeah.
And, because I saw a lot of people talk about this. They said, there was never crayons for my skin tone, all this. And I'm like, I'm going to be a good dad. I'm going to buy these for her. So we're coming back, and she's bored. And so I give her the coloring book, and I hand her the crayons, all proud as a dad, and she looks at the crayons and goes, "There's too many browns in here."
Agreed, honey. Agreed.
I lost my. I just lost my.
I would have
shit in
died.
the car. I did.
I would have peed my panties
because I was just not prepared for that statement.
I would have peed my panties.
Because it was, she goes, "There's too many browns in here." She's like, I need a yellow, and it was so funny.
What's so you bring her home, and it's not official at that point, but it's been agreed upon between you and the agency and the third party. So like moving from this point, now she's living with you.
Yeah, she doesn't call us. She doesn't call us mom or dad. Because we don't make her, we don't ask her to.
Right? No.
So. What we did was we referred to each other as mom and dad, but we didn't make whatever she wanted to say didn't matter. She called me and my wife for the first 2.5 weeks, dude and bruh.
Fair.
Fair.
I'll take it.
It was like living with a little Polly Shore just the entire time.
Just a gold chain and just headphones and loud music. Just bum, bum, bum. No, so after you take her home, and again, it's not official yet.
No.
But and I'm sure that like they're making check-ins often, right? Like through text. They have
the agency,
to, right?
Through texting, yeah.
What's through texting? What's the biggest hurdle because what's the date that you bring her home?
June 17th, 2023.
2023. So June 2023, and it didn't become finalized until February
1st.
Now 2024.
Yeah.
So in that time frame, why? Why is this take? What's the hang up? What's the biggest hiccup in this?
I can answer that right now. Because it's the biggest difference between having a kid naturally. The greatest day of the happiest day of me and my wife's life is one of the saddest days for her.
Because she had to leave her previous family?
Yeah. That's the biggest difference between having adopting a kid and having one naturally. And that's something that most people just don't get. The happiest day for us is literally the saddest day for her whole life.
It's wild.
It's the day, you know,
Yeah.
we became a family. It was the same day somebody said that they don't want to be her parents.
Right.
They couldn't be her parents.
And that's not that's a fucking bummer.
What about this?
Like,
I meant like
yeah.
the system. As far as what was so hard about the system, because we actually get comments on our TikTok all the time about child system in Kentucky sucks. So I'm glad she came from Tennessee. That's kind of a win.
Yeah.
But apparently nationwide abroad, and abroad.
Well, I always tell people this. I mean, this is so. I always tell, like, wherever people line up on the pro-choice, pro-life argument, I always tell people the dumbest pro-choice argument that I ever hear is, how many kids have you adopted? And the response that anybody should give to that is, give me $1,000 right now.
Yeah,
because that's how much it is just for the application.
Why is it like that? Like, why is it like
that? So I'm trying not to go off the rails on that. Well, I mean, it's an expensive endeavor. So I mean, if you think about like how hard it is to adopt, like how the process is, to adopt a kid, the application itself is about $1,000, which eliminates about 65% of most Americans.
Yeah,
and then the day that you're actually gonna like do the process is about 15. It can be 15 to 20,000.
God.
And so, I mean, I don't know how many of you are hanging out with that much money in the bank to be able to do that. I mean, it's just not.
It's got to be. It's got to be something you want to do.
Yeah,
it's a hard thing.
It wasn't. And for us, it was a real. Because we were planning to try to apply for a lot of grants. I had a really good friend. Best friend in the world. They lent us the money to be able to do that, and then without that, we weren't able to adopt her.
I was gonna say how like I mean, you guys had a GoFundMe and stuff, but like, didn't you?
Yeah.
Didn't I see that?
Yeah.
So, but like, how much like did the community of like your church and stuff come in and like help you guys?
A lot of people did. There was a lot of people that helped contributed to that, and that was, that was a big help to us for the process, because without it, we would have been able to do it. I mean, it's not easy. There's a lot of people that really want to adopt, but again,
what do you think some of the barrier. Like harder hurdles were that you had to like overcome in this adoption process?
I would say like there was a couple days she really realized, but it really sunk in, that the family she was previous adoptive parents, like she wasn't going back. There was a couple real hard days, and you don't feel good in that moment. Right, because you feel like a contributing factor. You feel like,
or you're keeping him away from that, and
that was probably the hardest day of my life. No, hands down.
It cannot be easy, and I can't even imagine. Jesus.
Oh, but we skipped over. How was it the first time she called you dad?
It was really good. So she actually didn't call me to me directly. She like indirectly said something to my wife. Like I always said, like I knew from like the process that I never considered myself dad until she called me that. I've always felt like I still feel that I have to earn that title, for her and for that bond. And it's not a one-time deal. Like, even though the state tells me that I'm her dad, every single day I tell it, I work to try to keep to make sure that I'm earning that title for her.
A child's love is not guaranteed to a father. Again, we spoke a little bit.
It's not owed to anybody,
No. But we spoke a little bit about when like a mother gives birth to a child. It's innate. It just happens. But with father, for whatever reason, as a man, as a father, I just feel like, take notes, gentlemen out there getting ready to have children, or if you have children, I agree with you wholeheartedly. You punch in the moment you wake up, and you have to earn dad as a title every day.
Yep. Natural
born, adopted, whatever the situation may be, like, you should be grateful, and it sounds like you definitely are. But yeah, it's hard work, man. It's really hard.
And another one I think is I would say that was real hard, I think, that for us to do is to, a lot of people want to vilify, I think, her first set of adoptive parent, like her first adoptive parents. And like, I don't know how anybody could do that. I don't know how anybody could.
Did you say reversive?
No. Her previous adoptive parents. They want to vilify.
Previous. I got it.
And real quick. And I'm always like, I'm always going to be the first person to quit. Me and my wife will be the first people to I don't to intervene on that because I remind people like I couldn't have brought her from India to here. There would have been no way.
Right.
It probably would have been possible. They brought her 5,000 miles. So they did something that like they brought her to the United States, and that's a whole
nother process
in and
way
of
more
itself
money.
that we're eternally grateful for that they could. And
Right.
it's definitely not an easy decision to look into yourself and think that I might not be the best parent for a child. That and that's not an easy decision to make.
Right.
And honestly, I don't think it's something that anybody ever thinks lightly.
Let me lighten it up just a little bit.
It gets deep quick.
Now that my nipples are the softest they've ever been in my entire life. No, I'm joking. But being a parent, I talk to Tom about this often. You got to be seeing some fucking quirky shit that's just like, you're not seeing this if you're not a parent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like has it created content yet, or is it?
Yeah. So she wears a pull up at night, and so
Sick.
she can go get her own pull up when she's getting herself dressed.
So can Tom.
But she accidentally opened up the wrong drawer and found my wife's pads
Nice.
and goes, "These are baby pull ups." And she was just going around saying, "These are mommy's baby pull-ups."
Funny story about
And
that.
I lost
right?
my shit.
I was basically raised a single mother,
Yeah.
and so like when it's their time of the month, you're a boy.
Yeah.
You go to the bathroom with your mom
Right.
and stuff like that. My mom said one time she walked in and I like pooped or whatever, and then I put some pads like in my underwear afterwards or whatever. Like I just thought it was part of the normal.
Totes
Right.
normal, dude. Totes
Right.
normal. But that's the cool thing about being a parent is you get this total, and I don't know shit because I'm not a parent, but like it's got to be cool having like this totally different perspective. You take on a totally different role in the world.
I was thinking about this last night about like animals, right? Because we're mammals to a degree.
We have a spine.
Right. But like most mammal, like a dog has a puppy, and like puppies' eyes are closed for like maybe a week after they're born. But then
2 weeks.
after 2 weeks, they're pretty semi self-efficient, like go outside and eat, water, whatever. But like humans, we can't do that. Like as soon as your baby can crawl, you're not like leaving a bowl of milk out and like,
Fuck, how dope would that be if you could though?
it'd be interesting.
That'd be fucking sick.
But I just thought it was like,
I
I was thinking about
6
it the
years
other night.
ago. Just leave a fucking bowl of Cheerios out, like feed yourself, you little rascal.
So the weird thing was, so I adopted her when she was 5, so I didn't really have any like milestones to like really gauge to know.
Yeah, she's basically ready to vote now.
Yeah.
Well,
I
nowadays,
told her
for
get a
sure.
job. Like, she's like, "I want to tap." I'm like, "Get a job, bum."
Yeah,
I always find that, man. I hate that they were like on Tuesdays, kids eat free. I'm like, kids eat free every
Guess
day,
what
but-
Braden's favorite video game is right now?
What?
Job Simulator.
Jobs.
Oh my
or similar-
gosh.
That's
Put him out there.
oh my god! Like
Put 'em
so
out there.
The very first day that we woke up, I made breakfast, and she wanted fruit, which is weird because I haven't eaten a fruit since 1996. But
That's a
like,
good year.
I know so my wife had stocked it with these fruits for her because that's what the shit she liked because she was they were pretty big health people. They're pretty health conscious. So we bought a bunch of fruit. So I'm cutting strawberries. I'm getting strawberries for her. And I don't know if she can choke on these strawberries.
Oh, dude.
I'm looking at her. I have no idea. So I cut a strawberry in half, and I just look at her, and I'm just gauging and judging.
Like
I'm
based on her
paranoid.
face.
Yeah.
She's like
And I'm
waiting to see if she expects you to cut it more.
To nod, as the nod, and then I like cut it in half into fourths again, and I'm just looking at her. She's looking at me, and I cut them into at least 16
Eighths.
pieces.
Yeah.
I end up dicing these things, and she's just looking at me like I'm the craziest guy in the world. Like, what are you doing? And then she goes, "I have teeth." And then she just picked one up and just ate the whole thing like as a big flex on me. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, my bad.
She was like, yeah, dude, I got fucking chompers.
Yeah, like she was like, I'm ready to go.
What's your favorite thing about being a father so far?
Oh,
you're
using
6 months in.
Oh,
What's your favorite thing?
Using
so far?
her to get out of things I don't want to do.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. People were
It's
like, "Hey, you
gotta
want
be
to come
the
over?"
best.
Can't. Gotta hang out with my.
Can't.
Oh,
Got the kid.
Oh,
Got the kid.
oh no. Honestly, no. I'm just making that up.
You're joking. That would have
yeah.
been serious for me.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I do it 100%.
Okay, good.
All the time. I mean, all the time.
100%.
All the time. Every parent does.
100%.
It's making her laugh.
Good, man.
Honestly, it's brightening her day. Because if I can do that, then I feel like I've done something
You
right.
think you and your wife have grown stronger in this adoption process?
Oh, we fight way more. What are you talking about? Like, yeah, it's like, oh man, let's have a kid. That'll make us bond. that's the same for adopted parents. It's
I've
not
never understood that. I've never understood that.
no.
Dad, you see like the I want to take this off on a real quick wild tangent.
Yeah.
You see like a tumultuous relationship between man and woman who have been together for
Yeah.
far too long. It's a relationship that should have been terminated forever ago, and they're just always bickering and arguing, and what's their solution? Let's have a fucking baby. And then what happens? Doesn't solve anything, makes things worse. Never understood that. I watch it from the outside 1,000 times happen, and it never makes anything. Just like, but I agree with you. It's like, yeah, dude,
It's also hard for two people that grew up in two completely different
Yeah.
environments to
True.
form one home, but then to also have 100% the same beliefs on how everything should be
Yeah,
done.
because like we bicker over discipline. We bicker over like when we get to, I'm like, shit, I'm Catholic, she's Protestant. I mean, it's just, you know, she wants her to go to bed at 9. I want her to go to bed at 8. You know, she wants her to like be able to have, you know, finger polish now, and I'm like, I say she can't date till she's 33, and
that checks
you know,
out.
it's
that
just,
checks out.
you know, it's
She can't date till she's married. Did
right.
you guys
It just creates whole new arguments
Were
that
you-
you don't even know exist.
Were you upset that she wasn't baptized when she was born?
well,
I only say that because I was raised Catholic. So
Well,
like,
actually, try not to darken the mood.
oh,
Actually, again, when you adopt a kid, there are things you just don't know. So she actually grew up in a Catholic orphanage, actually. So all we can really do is guess. We're not 100% sure.
so she was baptized.
Possibly.
We can hope.
Possibly.
Okay.
We're not 100%. So we don't actually. So we really don't know. No, I mean it's just it definitely tests a relationship because you have to learn how to compromise with another person. So like
Well, two persons really.
we'll take her to my church. We'll take her to Catholic mass one weekend. Another weekend we'll go to her Protestant voodoo church
Witchcraft.
stuff. Witchcrafty.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Non-denominational fucking.
So
chaos.
So this was So another
You've been to one of
funny,
those?
So another one of the funny stories. So we go. So again, so she goes to a very good. Her church is great. My wife's church is very nice. They gave us money. They're very good people. So they I was just dodging them. They
I'm just dodging.
So they're a lot. Protestants. They sing a lot louder than Catholics do.
Yeah. They get aggressive.
They do. They're started with their songs, and so I'm not used to it. So she was going to Catholic preschool for a while, and she was going to mass. So she was really used to mass for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then
whatnot.
So we go to my wife's church, and they start singing, and she looks at me and she goes, "Why are they singing so loud?" And I go, "Because Protestants think God has a hearing problem." And that was another one. Like I had to go sit in the car. I guess.
Also, Jesus really appreciates a guitar solo halfway through.
You need a drum set to worship, right?
Yeah, John Bonham's back there shredding the set, and we're like, dude, we're just here for.
That was another one I got put in adult timeout for a couple minutes.
We're here for God, dude. Relax on the skins, bro.
You
No, but it's been it's got to be wild to just be a dad now. God, it's got to be fucking wild.
It is, but you think about things differently. You think about you start thinking about what's the world going to be like tomorrow for her, like for somebody else.
Not
it
even
really
tomorrow, 10 years.
what's it gonna what's it gonna look like, and so it really changes your perspective as when you become a parent.
I bet, man, because you got
I feel like once you start becoming a parent, you are borderline schizophrenic.
Yeah, you discover a whole new level of exhaustion you never knew existed.
Or worry.
Yeah, or terror,
Anxiety.
fear. Being like, am I gonna trust? Do I trust to leave my daughter with these random people? With certain people or whatever. I don't know. Like, let's sign up for school. I'm like, do we know these people? I'm like,
Well, you're not leaving her at the Protestant daycare, so she's fine.
She goes to Catholic preschool.
No,
so
she'll
we're
be
good.
fine, dude.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
She's a girl in a Catholic school.
I'm joking.
As long as she's not a little
Only
boy.
joking.
Yeah,
you'll be
we'll be
good.
fine.
I'm joking. Dude. Yeah, that's also fucking a lot of mustaches over there, dude. Watch out. I'm kidding.
So let's do a little two-parter here. Piece of advice that you would give for comedians?
Oh, sure.
That you've learned, you think, in like the last 2 years?
I got you. Yeah. So here's a piece of advice that most comedians are not told when you get started in comedy. Anytime that you step into a club or you step into someone where you think you're going to perform, you are working. And you need to make sure that you have that mentality.
Act accordingly.
How you carry yourself, and how you carry yourself, how you're talking to people when you walk in, from the moment that you walk in, is important to be thinking about. Because a lot of times people get work, because of whether or not they like somebody, not just because you're funny. That's a big deal. I've gotten a lot of breaks just for being a nice guy and just being polite to people.
Two-parter. Second part. Advice for potential parents considering adoption. What do you got? And it could be abroad or it could be here in America. Just adoption in general. What is your best word of advice to parents considering it? Or potential parents, sorry.
No, I got you. I'll do one for adoptive parents. I'll do one for both. I would say for adoptive parents, I follow a lot of
people
adoptee. I don't follow a lot of adopter content creators. I follow a lot of adoptee
people that have been through that
creators.
system and process.
And I would encourage anybody that's going through that process, first off, to listen to some of those people and not just listen to some of adoptees that talk about their experience through adoption. Because adopters, you find that stuff on Instagram or TikTok. It's always the real cute baby stuff that, they're going, they're doing all this, they're taking them to events and they're bonding, and you see it's great. But, adoptees that are content creators talk a lot about the trauma that they had growing up. And they talked a lot about stuff that they wish that their adoptive parents would have done. You can get a lot of advice. I would say you can get a lot of advice from them. More or less, I would say, especially when it comes to what is their history, what happened, because that's something that
you're gonna have to deal with down the road.
So like things like my daughter's medical records from India when she came over. These very precious things that some adoptees might not have. Her original birth certificate from India, and these photos. That story. There's a lot of adoptees that don't have that part of the story. These little tangible things like that,
but they matter. As small
they
as
do.
They feel, they matter.
They're going to matter when they go through the concepts of who they are. But that would be advice that I would give for them
to dig a little bit. So that's good. And then so we've been chatting for a little bit over an hour, man. So we'll give you the last couple minutes. The floor is yours. So I know I saw a post on your IG about you got some upcoming gigs. Maybe I didn't see it. I'm a liar. Just kidding. You're on his reels. That's why.
Oh yeah.
Go. Oh no, you're on his post. But yeah, just the last couple minutes for you for shout outs for people that have gotten you here, people that are getting you to where you're going. And then also, dates that you might have coming up as far as shows you want people to come out to, or meet and greets, or just hanging out at the park with Maya and you want to meet a stranger. Whatever, man. So the last couple minutes is all you, whatever you got, dude.
Honestly, I would say the only shout out that really matters in the world is that's an old one, man. It's okay.
That's the one I saw, and I was thinking.
No, it's okay. The last, honestly, the only real shout out that I would ever say that got me to this point, I would say would be Maya. She's every beat of my heart is to make sure that she is for her, to make this world a better place for her. She's the reason she was the reason before I even knew how I got here. She's the whole reason I wake up in the morning every single day. So that would definitely be the shout out that I would definitely give to her.
And then dates. You got anything coming up that you want folks to come out to? Princeton, Vincennes, Indiana in general, maybe Northern Kentucky, Eastern Illinois.
I saw my daughter's birthday party. Oh no. No, I would say honestly. I would say if people want to follow me, see what I'm doing, follow me on social media at Izzy Funny. That's probably the best way. I always post whenever I'm going to be somewhere.
Okay.
that come up. I'm going to be ramping up a lot more since the adoption was finalized. So it's a good place for people if they want to see me and catch me.
And are you still doing your YouTube channel?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the One Candle Light.
Yeah, I'm still doing. So One Candle Society. So if people are real interested in paranormal and all that, they could follow me. One Candle Society. They could follow me on YouTube, or if they want to catch our podcast, Talking with Shadows, they can catch us on any platform to download our podcast from that. And that's always that was always a fun thing if you're interested in anything in the paranormal.
You do such a great job with that.
Thank you. I appreciate
seriously. I'm into that weird kooky paranormal shit. Shout out to oh my god, the comedian that does the scary one. Oh my god. I'm drawing a blank. It's Scared to Death. Jesus. You got to check out Scared to Death podcast. Really, really good. But I love that kind of shit. Or Box of Oddities is another good one. But anyways, here nor there. It's been over an hour. It's been nothing but a pleasure. It's been over 2 years since I've seen you last time.
Absolutely.
Somebody told me you died, and I was like,
I'm gotten so famous. I have my own TMZ fake death.
Yeah, I was like, I think he's dead. And then Andy was like, you need to have him on again. And I was like, I thought
we shouldn't make it. We shouldn't make it a whole another two years.
It will not be 2 years.
No.
I promise you. But yeah, dude, no, seriously, you could have done anything for the last couple hours, and it has been a couple of hours.
Yeah.
So for that, I apologize. But just you came down here and you talked to the Days Grimm, and I greatly appreciate you, sir. Thank you for all your knowledge. Comedian, a newly adopted father, just a super general nice guy. This has been Kris Izzi. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
And then again, this is Kris Izzi. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you.
Thank you.